You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest, Kris Murray, Anaheim City Council members in the house. Welcome.
Well, good morning, Ron. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. Now, I know some people are just going to say that the only celebration of today must be for Valentine's Day, but those of you that are old like me probably remember this song from a day or two ago. Well, I guess we'll put that one back on hold for a minute. Moving right along, it is National Cream-Filled Chocolates Day. Now, for someone like me, cream-filled chocolates are every day, but that is the subject for today's information. Let's see. It sounds like got a little bit of feedback coming back at us here, but we will check that out. Moving right along, what's happening in the markets today? Dow Jones Industrial Average up 21 points. We're going to see what's going on in that arena. We're also looking at oil up 18 cents a barrel, and I think we might have a problem here if you are looking at a mortgage. That one there, mortgage-backed securities are not doing real well. U.S. 10-year Treasury at 2.49. Why would that be happening? Well, once again, we have the Federal Reserve going back and having their commentary. Reserve Chairman Yellen is back speaking again, and I just wonder, why is it that we get so much information or why do people believe anything she has to say at this point?
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
So part of the issue is that the chairman is saying that we can't wait too long to raise interest rates. I think we're at about 10 years now, Miss Yellen. I think we might have passed the idea of waiting too long. Now remember, in 2015, she said we were going to get 4 rate increases the following year. We received 1. In 2014, she said we were going to get 3 rate increases. We got 1. And so far, we've seen 1 this year. So the Federal Reserve has lost a little bit of credibility, in my opinion. We also just had one of the Federal Reserve board members decide that he was going to retire. He was the one that was most interested in regulation. Again, not a great thought there, but I'm not a big fan of all the regulation. The Federal Reserve has been involved in what's going on in the markets way, way too much. They've tripled their balance sheet. Think about that, tripling their balance sheet with very little oversight, very little regulation, spending a lot of money, putting us at a lot of, I shouldn't say that. We'll see what the Federal Reserve does as they move forward. Although there might be some new changes coming, I don't know that it'll be in the Federal Reserve arena. Obviously, President Trump will have the opportunity of replacing the departed. But we'll also see what Steve Mnuchin has to say as he was confirmed as Treasury Secretary yesterday. There's a lot of regulatory change they're talking about. I just heard that they said, even like on the EPA, which has nothing to do again with Treasury, that they can cut 50% of the EPA and still handle their mandate. May not be able to do all the things that they were doing that was outside their mandate, but we'll see what happens there as well. A lot happening in the news, obviously. Overnight, we did see that Mike Flynn, General Flynn, decided to resign. Listening to all reports that I've heard so far, it was all on his own accord. He did, apparently the biggest mistake was, again, just like Richard Nixon. We don't learn. I don't know why people don't learn. But the cover-up was worse than the actual event itself. So we'll see what happens with that going forward as well. A lot of people coming through the White House again to see who's going to replace him. David Petraeus on the top, one of the top names on the list. See what happens there as well. Moving right along. How about, I said this yesterday. I got a lot of flack on some of the social media sites. But I stopped watching any of the Hollywood narcissist shows. They give each other an award for, I don't know, because they wanted to give each other an award. Seems like there's one every week right now. But I did see that there's a lot of conservative people once again, and I mentioned to you that yesterday that I thought this would happen because we've seen what happened with Hobby Lobby. We saw what happened with Chick-fil-A and Joy Vila. Did you see what's happened with her now? Yeah, she's the one that wore the gown to the Grammys that said, "Make America Great Again," and the train was said Trump. Well, apparently she's number one selling artist right now on iTunes and number one selling artist on Amazon. So think about that. That's just the silent majority once again voting with their wallets. And it happens on a regular basis, so we've got to wonder how long, and I'll get myself in trouble here, I don't care. How long will it take the idiots in Hollywood to realize that nobody cares what they say anymore? Other than the jerk Meryl Streep, who's comparing our presidential leadership with Nazis. Now, does that just confirm that she's just an idiot and has no clue what's going on? And unfortunately, she still does have a megaphone. Maybe she should stick to acting and let somebody else write for her, because she obviously is not intelligent enough to put together a sentence on her own. Unbelievable, or at least anything coherent. Unbelievable. Speaking of coherent, let's move a little closer to home. What's going on? I just saw a report, and I don't often report on items coming out of the NBC group of networks just because they're relatively biased, just my opinion. But CNBC reporting this morning that on the governor's list of $100 billion worth of key infrastructure projects, he missed a little dam up in Northern California. Oroville is not even on the list of $100 billion of key infrastructure projects as proposed by our state governor. But at least we do have a high-speed railroad that he's working on. That must be more important than making sure that dam... Well, at least there's more people to be going down into the Central Valley right now. I guess maybe that was the idea for the governor, is if the cities from Oroville down to Sacramento flood, they'll be pushing people down into the Central Valley because they don't have a home. It's a shame what's going on up there. Just a horrible shame. Our thoughts and prayers are out for those people there. But amazing that it's not, that they didn't know it. That's the whole issue, is why, how could they not know that there was that big a problem? Now, I know we've had a drought here forever, but not to even have that on the list of $100 billion worth of infrastructure? Unbelievable. Moving right along. Apparently, there is some... I don't even know how to broach this one. This one's kind of a funny topic. For those of you that are old, again, like I am, and many of us, told a little bit of a white lie to our parents at some point in time. This would be to the males only. The females probably would not have been party to this one. Those people that were purchasing Playboy magazine just for the articles, I don't think that was actually correct. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Exactly. I guess they're bringing nudity back to Playboy magazine. So I guess they realized maybe people weren't buying it just for the articles. I'll leave that to your own imagination right there. We're going to continue our conversations. We've got a lot to go on today. We're going to get to our main topics right now. Our councilwoman, Kris Murray, is in the house. We're going to chat with her when we come back. Anaheim's budget, one that's in my craw. I've got to ask her about it. $160,000 for a administrative assistant. Was a part-time job. I guess you need that to be full-time. 160. I think the president. Don't Congress people make $170,000, and our assistant here in Anaheim makes $160,000. I'm wondering if that's maybe we got Bell, California coming to Anaheim. We'll talk about it. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. You can reach us anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
What if your family business could help clothe a less fortunate family? Or your restaurant could feed truly hungry people? What if you could help to comfort the lonely? Plant sustainable resources where nothing has ever grown before? Or make a child's lifelong wish come true? What if all you had to do was simply do nothing more than what your business already does every day? Would you do it? Introducing Processing for a Cause, a unique program that turns a percentage of your business's credit card volume into ongoing donation dollars for nonprofit organizations and foundations. Simply switch your credit card processing provider to Processing for a Cause and begin supporting a worthy cause today. The process is simple, and the cause will change lives forever. Processing for a Cause.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, MLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today, again, being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. Apparently, I must have said that wrong yesterday. I had quite a few comments that I said N-A-S-T. No, it's N-E-S-T to 79564. Get a home search. Find your home before somebody else does. First comes love, then comes mortgages. According to the National Association of Realtors' most recent profile of home buyers and sellers, married couples once again dominated the first-time home buyer statistics in 2016 at 58% of all buyers. It is no surprise that having two incomes to save for down payments and contribute to monthly housing costs makes buying a home much more attainable. Don't forget, though, you don't need 20% down to buy a home, so don't be saving forever. Get in the game. 6% was the average in 2016 for first-time buyers. Repeat buyers' average down payment was 14%. So just think about some of those numbers and get in the game. It's almost like another half an income, the appreciation of real estate in Southern California. Just a thought for you. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, again, brought to you by the area-trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. We are going to chat this morning. I do this on a regular basis. I'm very appreciative that Kris Murray comes in to share with us and update what's going on in the city of Anaheim. Obviously, we've got a big listening audience from the city of Anaheim. But Anaheim also happens to be one of the larger cities in the state. I think a lot of the state follows what Anaheim is doing, maybe even a lot of the country, because there's a lot going on in Anaheim. And Kris, I don't know if we're going to be able to say this too much longer. Anaheim's been a leader in what's going on, but in my opinion, it seems like the mayor's trying to regress us. It seems kind of odd right there, but I looked at it and it just got me, and I got to start off with this one. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if I'm not mistaken, there's 6 or 7 council members plus, including the mayor?
6 plus the mayor, total of 7.
Total of 7. Yeah. And council members don't do what they do for money. Quite obvious.
No, there's a stipend to help with travel costs and just incidental costs, but no salaries, no significant funding.
But we've got one person going to get more money than all the council members and the mayor combined?
Yeah.
That seems $160,000. I couldn't believe that. I know that I looked at the voting, and I know you were on the opposite side of this one, but what was some of the conversation? How could it even be justified?
Well, the mayor believes because he is the mayor, he deserves, or the office should have a higher level of staffing, so requested a full-time position for this individual. $165,000, our staff did a market analysis, and that's 23% over like agencies that have full-time chiefs of staff. For one person. That also, the individual that serves his office also has a really lucrative pension, and that wasn't discussed at all, what that pension burden will be for the city long term, which will be significant, hundreds of thousands of dollars over her lifetime. But what I found most disheartening about the discussion is the entire discussion and the approach of it violates the city's charter. We have council offices and the mayor have equal governing authority per the city's charter. That is our constitution for the city.
And a lot of people don't even know that part of it, because the mayor wants us to think that he's got some supreme power.
Right. There are cities like LA and others that have what are called a mayor-run form of government, where the mayor actually has duties to physically, functionally run the city. We have a city manager form of government, and the voters have reiterated their support for that. With every 10 years we do a charter review. That's never been adjusted, and we're 158 years old. The citizenry likes having a part-time advisory body that looks out for their interests but has a professionally managed city. The mayor does not run the city. He has some ceremonial functions that are different from the rest of the council members, but he does not run or have any functioning technical management duty for the city. And so having a chief of staff that makes more than the entire council combined, plus a very lucrative pension, to me is just an abuse of taxpayer dollars, but it was approved by the council.
That seems just amazing to me that that's the case. Wouldn't it seem like it would make sense almost to change the name so it didn't have that, because so that the community, as a transparency issue, would know that the mayor really is head of council, as opposed to to try and consider, as you put it, the Anaheim's mayor having the same kind of responsibilities as the mayor of Los Angeles. I would bet if we asked 10 people in as we walk down the street here, Probably not one of them would know that there's a difference.
No, and in all fairness, I didn't know that before. You know, I knew because I was a city commissioner. I knew some of the differences between our charter and general law cities that have some who have mayor forms of government, but that's just never existed in Anaheim, and that's been the preference of our electorate. So it's really up to the voters if they want to change that, not to any office holder.
That's an interesting concept. Now, what's the part I saw a little bit here, and it again disturbed me being a resident of the Canyon part of Anaheim, that they're looking at reducing because if the city manager runs the city, yet the mayor's pushing to reduce the authority of the city manager.
Yes, that's the council is currently considering reducing his contractual abilities and some other constraints they want to put on the office. I'm still looking at those policies as they come forward. I think what's important for residents and for visitors and employees and businesses in Anaheim to know is the city has run extraordinarily well. We really do set the benchmark for how to function as a municipal government. We have raised the lion's share of our funding for city services through private investment. I have since the 60s. We have a professionally run form of government. We have, over the last 5 years, put together a structurally balanced budget that is we are enabled to do that because of the strength of our local economy and the investment that happens in Anaheim and the partnership the city has had for decades with private industry. We've reduced unemployment by more than half in the last 5 years, restored cash reserve, reduced our pension burden significantly by nearly 15% in a very short order. So,
which that's a significant issue right there, because we just heard about a month ago that the governor came out and said that they missed their pension numbers by $1.9 billion. Right, yeah. So that to be doing this well in the city means maybe we should be doing the opposite of whatever the state does.
Well, it's incumbent on cities and public agencies to absolutely fiscally manage those pension burdens, and not just from a fiscal standpoint, but the people who rely on it. You know, public employees, many may not realize this, but public employees don't pay into Social Security. They will not see Social Security checks if they work their lifetime in a public capacity. Their only retirement benefit will be their pension or what they do privately. So if the pension programs at the municipal or public agency or state level are not solvent long term, then the people who we're anticipating and have been paying into them will not have those benefits when they need them most. So it benefits everybody to make sure those programs are solvent. We have really been ratcheting down both pension formulas, as well as we took lifetime health care off the table about 10 years ago under Mayor Pringle, and have put a trust together to ensure those funds were protected and secure long term as well, and that they won't inadvertently out in the future negatively impact the general fund or local residents.
So explain that a little bit more to me. So the people that had a lifetime benefit, they're not going to lose that lifetime benefit that have already been committed to it?
Correct. So if you were in the system when you were eligible for a lifetime health care benefit, you will always, contractually the city cannot reverse that. But we no longer offer it to new hires or to people who become eligible for pension programs in the city of Anaheim. They will no longer be able to receive that benefit or have that be part of their package.
Which is a fair way of doing it, because that way the people that came in under one program, no one's changing or pulling the rug out from under them.
Those healthcare programs alone could make pension programs insolvent. So the city, long ago, under Mayor Pringle, had the vision to roll that back.
Great information. We're going to continue our conversation. There's some new things going on. How about the convention center? NAM was just here. That's an interesting conversation. The budget, Disneyland, a lot more to chat with our city council member, Kris Murray, in the house. Amazing story. We're going to chat about 46% of couples admit to infidelity. We're going to chat about that one and how many Americans are underemployed. All that and more. You can reach us anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1, Ron Siegel the numeral 1 on YouTube. About 30,000 people watch the replays of every single show. Are you one of them? Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Do you own real estate or have assets over $150,000? Do you know one of your heirs will be the probate courts and the IRS? If you don't have a living trust, you will go through probate. Call Heritage Financial Services toll free at 1-855-434-7400 for a free review. Check us out on Facebook, Heritage Financial Service in Lake Forest, California. That's 1-855-434-7400. Again, 1-855-434-7400.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. How many Americans are underemployed? I love using this statistic. We get some fake numbers from the news. Now, it's not fake because I say it's fake. It's a combination of the late Essie Adibi, when I was studying with him over at Chapman University, and ever since, he's always talked about the idea that the unemployment number as delivered by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, U3, is really a misleading number because they put into it what they want to put into it. Those people that quit or give up looking for a job, those people are technically no longer unemployed, according to the U3 statistics. So when we look at a 4.8% federal unemployment rate, that's not really the whole story, but the reason they use it, according to what Essie had told me, is simply consistency. They didn't want to change the number that they report, even though the U6 number is really a more accurate measurement, because that takes into account people that are unemployed, underemployed, they're not in the workforce, 9.4%. So when we think about people being out there and available to work, we're really not at a full employment number right now, but that is the numbers that we use. So take a look further. Whenever you hear what the unemployment numbers are, look a little bit further and see what the real numbers are, those people that are not participating in our workforce, and unfortunately they've given up. That's the reason that we're seeing right now that as we get more and more people working and we see decent numbers coming back into the new employment numbers, while we see people added to the workforce, the unemployment number will increase because people are actually coming back to work. That is the Word on Wealth segment, again, brought to you by our friends over at Heritage Financial Services. Continuing our conversation this morning, Kris Murray, Anaheim City Council, is in chatting with us, giving us an update what's going on in the city. There's a lot going on at the convention center. Anaheim's got a great convention center, and it doesn't really cost the city budget a whole lot of money.
Well, I mean, the city definitely bond financed to build its convention center, and so we have that, but it more than covers that and turns a significant return on investment to Anaheim taxpayers. So the conventions...
Now, wait a second. You said something that's a little odd there, Kris. Yeah. A return on investment to taxpayers.
Yes.
I mean, that's something that we don't hear a lot because we constantly hear about the government giving out money and that it's a giveaway.
Right.
But it's really... It's a unique term, investment with return on investment.
Right. I mean, there's no question. The cities that are performing well and coming out of the recession stronger are cities that have figured out how to partner with the business community to generate investment in their local areas. And so Garden Grove is also a great example. You see huge growth in their hotel market. Their revenues have shown tremendous return on investment in the last few years, but they literally gave land to these investors. They provided the same types of tax rebates that we've done in Anaheim. They really followed our model, and it's shown tremendous success, and they're getting a lot of coverage in the Register and other local online news outlets about how Garden Grove is doing a complete paradigm shift for their local economy, and we've been doing that in Anaheim since the 60s. But the convention center was a big partnership between the school district, city government, to jointly bond finance, use our bond financing authority to build that convention center back in the 60s, and it has really paid off over the years for our residents in terms of revenue for services that we rely on, like police and fire.
And one of the things that I get a lot of people ask me, Kris, about the concept of city giveaways and the incentives that are done with cities. And I looked and I thought I saw something on here today that I forgot one of the restaurants I got a message from that they're giving away a 2-for-1 meal. And to correlate, sometimes it's easy for people to understand from a real simplistic standpoint that a 2-for-1 meal, I'm trying to find the coupon, I'll even give the company a free plug if I can find it here quickly. But the concept of a free meal was to come in, you buy 2 meals, or buy a meal and get another one free. Mm-hmm. And it gives a person an incentive to go to that restaurant as opposed to maybe the restaurant right next door.
Right.
And that's pretty much the same idea with these hotel incentives and other business incentives, isn't it?
It is exactly analogous. Cities compete with each other to generate or to attract business, to attract both those companies that bring jobs and the companies that help generate revenue for city services. And most cities in Orange County have some level of incentive policies. They do in Orange to attract auto dealers and to maintain large employers. They do in Yorba Linda with the Savvy Ranch. There's been some incentives over there to attract new investors. There is in Garden Grove, significant, similar to us with hoteliers and resort-based, Buena Park, and cities across Orange County. By contrast, the cities that don't or aren't successful in generating that private revenue have returned to the ballot box to ask for sales tax increases to fund. So rather than have it your city services be funded by private investment, the alternative for those residents in Stanton and Westminster and potentially Placentia and other places, they're paying more out of their pocket to fund their services. I'd rather have it come from private investment than my taxpayers' wallets.
Isn't that a lot better? I mean, I mentioned that earlier in the first segment, in the real-time real estate segment. Mm-hmm. Buying a house can almost be like another half income for somebody based on projected appreciation in California. Right? Same idea here. So the city's putting an investment in there, getting revenue as opposed to from the taxpayer. Now, let's get an update, because one of those that had a ton of controversy about a year ago, maybe a half year ago, was they were talking about this, the incentives given to Disneyland. So how is that progressing?
Well, first, Disneyland didn't get an incentive just for them. We adopted a 4-star hotel policy that was open to everybody.
No, what I'm referring to is the
tax?
ticket that where they were going to tax our football tickets.
Oh,
some members of the council wanted to tax.
What we agreed was to extend a tax policy where we would not, for the next 30 years, consider a ticket tax. And what was missed in that discussion, it wasn't an incentive to Disney other than an assurance, really more than an incentive, that there wouldn't be a ticket tax on their guests. And it was a policy that had been in place since the mid-90s when the mayor and his council colleagues at that time supported it and actually implemented that policy, and Anaheim formed it. But we agreed to extend it so that Disneyland would then invest $1 billion. A
lot of money.
We were giving them no money, just the assurance we wouldn't add a new tax. They already are our largest tax provider, not just in Anaheim, but across the state. They're one of the top tax providers. So it's not, they weren't getting a tax reduction. We were just agreeing not to layer on a new tax. And in exchange for that, they put $1 billion into our city through the new Star Wars themed land. And they've just announced that not only was that thousands of jobs, skilled, paid, high wage jobs. But
we didn't have to do a minimum wage jobs.
Disney has represented employees. Their employees have benefits, health care, as well as a very competitive trade skilled wages. But aside from thousands of jobs, $1 billion in economic investment and revenue that long term will help all of our hotel industry keep those room rates high and keep those occupancy rates high. All of that revenue will come into the city. But Star Wars themed land will now open in 2019. So an awful lot for our residents, all of Orange County, all of the region, all of the world to be able to come and enjoy.
And one of the things that gets missed frequently, and I know that you know these numbers a lot better than I do. I didn't ask you to bring them, so I'm not going to ask you specifics. But when Disney puts $1 billion into a project, the multiplier effects that go into that, I don't know, 1.6, 1.7 or some of the numbers I've heard, that's huge amounts. So you almost can double that by the time you get the UPS drivers and the truckers that are bringing materials, and then those people are going to a restaurant near there to eat lunch. And
it's significant, and I don't have an exact figure on what the multiplier is as far as how that economic activity helps economic growth around the resort. It's obviously significant, but I will give you this figure: $6 billion is being invested in Anaheim over the next few years because of the policies of the previous council to incentivize and provide some rebates that generated that level of investment that wasn't even conceived for Anaheim prior to these policies being put in place. So many people like to negate the value of that by saying it would have come anyway. Well, we had lower levels of programs in place for the prior 10 years, and none of that investment came to the city. It's only come when we really made our programs a little more competitive with what neighboring cities are doing. We're still not bond financing for these programs, so there's no liability to taxpayers, and we're not giving away free land. We've basically implemented some tax rebate programs to incentivize that level of development. But with Disneyland, with Star Wars, this themed land that they have opening in 2019, we didn't incentivize $1 of that development. We just agreed not to implement a brand new tax on them that even if we had done, would have to be implemented at every other venue in the city. So our residents would really have felt that. I highly doubt they would have approved it regardless.
It's very amazing how those type of things happen, that people just don't see the overall benefits that come from this. And there are some people, and I know there's some of the opposing people on the council that believe you can dictate. And we're seeing right now, unfortunately, you look at what happened under the previous federal administration. They basically decided to regulate everything, and many of our community banks are going out of business because they couldn't follow the regulations, right? So when you do those kind of things, it's not that it's going to come anyway. It's that it just gets backburnered, and then you hear a lot of the media saying, and some of the people in Congress saying, well, the banks won't lend. Well, if they can't lend, why would they lend? Or if it's too high of a risk for them to do it. Here, when you give an incentive or say we're not going to tax, we're going to make it so that the business can survive,
right.
It continues. Tell me a little quickly about what the NAM convention. We just had that one finished.
So NAM is the National Association of Music Merchants, and it is one of the largest conventions in the country every year. This year was one of the largest turnouts that we've had. We've hosted it in Anaheim for well over a decade at this point. The convention center expansion was a necessity to keep NAM in Anaheim. They were looking at alternatives if we couldn't expand and accommodate their growth. So the convention center expansion that we approved about 18 months ago is on schedule and on budget, and will open later this year at 200,000 square feet. So not only will we keep NAM, and they've committed going forward, but we're bringing in all of these additional national products is going to continue, and all of these other really large-scale conventions. It'll even help us compete for Comic-Con, which is also looking at alternative locations. So that, again, when we bring in the foot traffic, when we bring in the guests and the visitors, they spend money here. That money has a tax burden that our visitors are paying. That funding then comes to us for police, fire, parks, and libraries. And our resort district is the only square mileage in this city that generates, again, 100% return on our investment as a taxpayer. You just can't beat it.
That's amazing. And again, you bring in conventions, you bring in expense accounts from a lot of different corporations, and they're spending good amounts of money to help in all the other city activities. And we want to keep those people right here within the city of Anaheim. So hope that the council will continue doing that. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, 46% of couples admit to infidelity. We're going to talk about that a little further. We'll also continue our conversation with Anaheim City Council member Kris Murray. You can reach us anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Isn't it time you found out the truth about FHA insured home equity conversion? No, it's not your grandfather's reverse mortgage. This just may be the finest financial planning strategy available for all homeowners of retirement age. Helping protect what you've earned is the job of your board of directors with continued education. Major research has shown that using a HECM will significantly enhance the success rate of a retiree's portfolio and legacy. Please allow us to educate. For your complimentary consultation, call Jay Kaplan at 949-300-3855. That's 949-300-3855.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send
send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRENMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report, and it is wrong. I know that because I've been looking at credit reports since the 80s, and I've never, ever seen one that's completely accurate. Never. Regardless of what the scores are, they are not accurate. So yours, likelihood isn't accurate either. Go to CreditSanitizer.com, get them to assist you with that. 46% of couples around the world admit they have committed streaming infidelity. Yeah, it's a little bit off from what we were talking about, but the idea of, have you done this? Have you been binge watching on a series with your loved one and decided, I gotta skip ahead just a little bit and then not fessed up? Just a question mark there. Just a little fun there for a Valentine's Day question for you. That is the Your Credit Matters segment brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. Continuing our conversation this morning, Kris Murray is in the house, Anaheim City Council member, and giving us some updates on some of the issues that are going on in Anaheim. And again, Anaheim being a leading city, might be coming to a town near you as well. So big controversy right now, Kris, is that we obviously saw over the weekend and the last week or so a lot of ICE activity. And I saw Jorge Ramos out there talking about the city's breaking up families, or ICE breaking up families. And then it turns out that like 75% of the arrests were violent criminals who also happened to be non-residents and illegal. And I saw before the last election, there was some conversation about Anaheim becoming a sanctuary city. Kind of give us an update on what does that mean? What are the pros, the cons? I know that you're still battling the whole discussion, and the council's having some discussions about it. So give us a little update about it and educate us a little.
Okay. Well, cities across the country are looking at how to respond with some of the immigration changes at a federal level. The mayor leads, actually co-chairs an immigration task force for the U.S. Conference of Mayors. They've adopted a resolution urging that cities provide security for all residents, regardless of their immigration status. And then most recently...
When you say security, are they saying that they need security against the federal government? I mean, because they already provide security against somebody else doing them harm, right?
It's not clear. I mean, the resolution was written and adopted by 4 mayors, including Mayor Tate, and it was circulated to all mayors. What the mayor has done to try to have further local discussion is form what he calls a welcoming Anaheim task force. He co-formed this task force with a newly elected council member from District 3, Dr. Jose Moreno, and it's what we know at this juncture is that it's based on the principles of a program started by President Obama called Welcoming America, and if you Google that, you can find some background on what that program means. But they haven't said much more if it is about sanctuary, if so, to what extent. That part's just not clear. There isn't a lot of meat on the bones yet on what the objectives of this task force are, other than to start a discussion about how to integrate and support immigrants in Anaheim. And Anaheim is one of the most diverse cities in the world, and we're proud of that. The city has taken strong stances to support comprehensive immigration reform. The council has adopted resolutions unanimously to encourage the federal government to support refugees. We are having a humanitarian crisis around the world with refugees being pulled apart by family in war-torn areas around the world, and the country should be an important part of providing safety and security for refugees. But this task force that's been formed, I think it's important that both those it's intended to serve as well as our general resident population have the ability to participate in the deliberations, to hear the discussions, to hear what kind of programs are being considered before recommendations are made to the council. So I had requested a full transparency direction of the council to the mayor and to the task force, asking that those meetings, which are right now scheduled to be held at 8:30 in the morning on business days when most residents can.
You're hoping you're working, right?
Yeah, when most people are hopefully working or taking their kids to school or doing numerous things that wouldn't involve being at City Hall. That we not only have those be open to the public and the meetings and agendas publicly noticed, but have them, like we do with other commissions in the city, have them be videotaped and the information posted online so that at the convenience of our residents, they can go and review the materials and be able to weigh in and send emails or phone calls or whatever avenue is most convenient to them. And sadly, I was unsuccessful in getting that kind of public transparency assured for this task force. So,
why not? What is the objection to that? Did they bring up anything?
The mayor's objection was that it's his task force and it's not up to the council to direct him on how it's run, and what level of transparency is provided will be up to him and to the members of the task force.
Isn't that called a dictatorship? Don't go there.
I'd rather not
right?
editorialize. I was very disappointed that this information couldn't be provided to everybody, both our immigrant and refugee community as well as our residents who might just want to know more about what's being discussed. It is an important topic, and the residents have a stake in this at all levels because this president is not one to make idle threats, and he's been very clear that if sanctuary programs are considered by cities, your federal funding's at risk, and that translates into transportation, affordable housing, health and human services, social service funding, services for the indigent and the homeless. I mean, all of our federal funding could be at risk if those are the types of programs this task force wants to consider and have council take action on. So we don't know that that's the direction they're going in. We don't know that they aren't going in that direction. I think it's important that the public have some access and some understanding about what the objectives of this task force are.
So go back a little bit, just because I'm a little slow. I know the meetings are at 8:30 in the morning. Are they open if somebody wants to go to it? They just can't. They're just not recorded and broadcast?
And broadcast or posted on the website. They definitely won't be recorded and posted on the website. The mayor's made that very clear. But what we know for at least this first one, which will be held on Friday, February 16th at City Hall West in the Gordon Hoyt Conference Room, which is on the second floor of City Hall West. It'll be at 8:30 in the morning, and at least this first one there will be an agenda, and it will be open to the public. We don't know if all meetings of this task force at this juncture will be open to the public, but we know this first one will be.
So I guess what we really need to be doing is sending a message off to the mayor that, what's he trying to hide? That's just my opinion. I'm not asking Kris to say that, but I always wonder when people say, especially people are the council is elected to serve what we're the people of the community, right? And everybody in the community, and the whole idea here is if they're not willing to, and unfortunately, and I say this with due respect to Kris, is that our city council is not a place where the average person should be going. I wouldn't want my mom to go there. I wouldn't want my nieces to go to a city council meeting. The decorum at our city council is not appropriate. Maybe that's why they don't want to do it, is that they don't maintain an area where the average person might not be G-rated. Or PG rated, right?
Decorum's been a problem in chambers. Yeah, sadly, it's something I wish we could have a little more leadership on. The decorum has been a genuine problem in chambers, and so many of our residents are concerned about going.
And I don't know. Maybe I think when I was in school, I think it was almost mandatory. I think we had to go to a court. Sit and observe something in court, and we had to go to a city council meeting when we were in high school. And you just wonder why you can't have that now. But this right here, it's probably one of the hottest topics that we've got in our country right now is, the sanctuary cities and illegal immigration and how we're going to deal with it, and the borders. So it seems to me that the idea of a commission is probably not a bad idea. But why not have it opened?
No, it's an absolutely worthwhile topic, and it's certainly timely, and there are stakeholders across the board who are interested in it, and that's why I felt public transparency was essential. And I'm just deeply disappointed that we were unsuccessful in getting those measures in place. Two of my colleagues joined me in supporting it. Unfortunately, not enough to get that direction approved and supported.
Well, there is an opportunity to make a change. Number one, make your voice heard. Make it heard civilly, not disrespectfully. And obviously the other part of it is vote. That's the biggest issue, is see who's following the ideals that you have. And I share that, Kris, I share this all the time. I have several social media channels. And one of my biggest ones, second to the radio show, would be just our Orange County Buzz page. And the biggest thing, I don't care what anybody has to say, as long as there's no vulgarity and it's respectful. Right? And that's what this should be, is open, transparent, have debate, learn, and be respectful to the other party. That's our whole mission, and that's why I ask you every day to be sure to set your first radio preset button to come back here every day and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Steve, who's engineering us today, and of course a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. Thanks again to Kris Murray for coming in and sharing with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio, and remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.